This past year, the city budgeted almost $700 million toward homeless services and around $75 million for drug treatment programs. But those issues continue to be some of the biggest in the city. So people are starting to wonder, where is all that money going? A lot of it goes to nonprofits that the city relies on to run these programs. So here's a breakdown of some of the biggest contracts awarded to those nonprofits this year. The first one is Urban ALCHEMY, which got about $34 million in contracts this year. They run these de facto security patrols around the Tenderloin neighborhood. Some people in the neighborhood have applauded the nonprofit for helping to clear the sidewalks during the day. It came out that they weren't actually licensed to do security work, which a lot of the contracts that they have with the city require them to do. Then there's EPISCOPAL Community Services, which got about $75 million in new contracts this year. The nonprofit is one of the largest providers of supportive housing in the city, which in itself has run into some controversy this year, as people have accused the city of just warehousing people. Then there's Health Right 360, one of the biggest drug treatment nonprofits in the city. The nonprofit got about $12 million in new contracts this year, mainly to run a drug sobering site in Selma. Suspicions grew around the nonprofit this year after they were chiefly in charge of creating a safe consumption site called the Tenderloin Center. The center first opened as a linkage hub of sorts for people to go and find access to services, but it later came out that it was being run as a safe consumption site, which made some people in the neighborhood upset. And finally, we have the Tenderloin Housing Clinic, which got about $20 million in new contracts this year. Tenderloin Housing Clinic is one of the biggest nonprofit supportive housing providers in the city. However, this year, Tenderloin Housing Clinic met some controversy over how it was handling its sites in terms of safety, sanitation, and the wages of its workers. So what's the big takeaway here? The good thing is that San Francisco has put a lot of resources towards these issues, but the city has a long way to go in creating actionable change on these humanitarian issues.